indicating that we're being generous to the shareholders and executives of the high-risk institutions. But I want to focus first on another act of generosity. Section 111 of TARP requires the Secretary, it says the Secretary shall require that the financial institution in which you invest meet appropriate standards for executive compensation. The law then lists three particular items that you need to put into the stew. But the mandate is clear. Not just deal with these three particulars involving like golden parachute contracts, but devise appropriate standards, enforce appropriate standards on executive compensation. Now, after AIG got TARP money, they announced and are in the process of paying bonuses as high as $3 or $4 million. Sir, have you met your responsibility to require that appropriate standards of executive compensation be imposed on AIG and the other recipients of TARP funds?
Congressman, this is an important issue that we must not lump all the institutions together.
I'm not. I'm asking about AIG.
Okay.
Is $3 million bonus appropriate standard of executive compensation, or has the law been violated?
Congressman, I don't have the details of what the bonus levels are at AIG.
Well, you're the one that's supposed to impose appropriate levels of executive compensation. Have you done that, or are they making payments of executive compensation that are not appropriate, or are you just blind to whether they're appropriate or not?
Congressman, we have imposed on AIG new corporate governance standards, executive compensation standards, and
so you think that do your standards prevent the payment of a $3 million bonus?
I do not believe that they specifically prevent a payment of a
So have you imposed standards, appropriate standards for executive compensation? Are you here to tell this committee that appropriate standards of executive compensation would allow a $3 million bonus? How about a $30 million bonus? Would that be appropriate executive compensation? Or would that be prohibited by any standards that met the statutory requirement imposed on Treasury?
Congressman, in the case of AIG, we replaced with the Federal Reserve the senior management of AIG. Please permit me to finish. This is a very important issue.
Sir, I didn't ask you about corporate governance. I didn't ask you about the makeup of the executives. I asked whether a $3 million bonus or a $30 million bonus is consistent with a statutory requirement that we have appropriate standards on executive compensation. Let me ask it specifically. As to $30 million, is that appropriate or inappropriate, or you have no opinion?
I'm not in a position to opine on a specific number if it's appropriate or not.
Well, when Congress tells Treasury to limit things to appropriate compensation, I would hope that you would devise such standards. And so the standards that you have written so far do allow $30 million bonuses to be paid. There's nothing that Treasury has done that would prevent a $30 million bonus, correct?
Ultimately, I believe, I need to check, Treasury and the Federal Reserve, the U.S. taxpayers now own...
Sir, you wrote the regulations. What's in them?
Congressman, ultimately the Treasury and the Federal Reserve, because now the taxpayers own 80% of AIG, are in a position to approve specific compensation standards. My point in talking about the executives was for us to, we want to get the taxpayers' money back in the case of AIG. And so we needed to put in place a management team, hire quality managers. For me to come in here and say, well, $100,000 is the right number or $500,000 is the right number, I don't know what the right
Sir, these bonuses were paid to executives that have been there for a while and are part of the team that ran the company into the ground, and your level of generosity is in stark contrast to the suffering of the people in my district. I yield back.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. May I just add a little something? That is the one question that I hear more of as I travel across this country. The absolute frustration of the American people and this administration not imposing some standard or rule. And I have to just make the point, because we just finished the examination with the auto industry. We have a successful CEO running Toyota in the United States getting $1 million a year as compensation, and we have a very unsuccessful CEO in the United States running one of the major car companies called GM, getting $23 million a year.